What's good, Steeler Nation? My name is Jack Sperry, and this is Steelers Talk. Thanks for spending part of your weekend to talk some Steelers football with us. We got a mailbag today, a Q&A. I'm answering all of your burning Steelers questions as we head into the 2023 offseason. It's going to be a great video today, guys. Can't wait to answer your questions. But before we jump into your questions today, consider subscribing to the channel here. All offseason, guys, we're going to be bringing you breaking news coverage whenever there's big news that breaks for the Pittsburgh Steelers, a new signing, draft picks, draft analysis, all this great stuff, all this great content that's going to be coming out during the offseason. We're going to have it for you here on the channel, so go ahead and subscribe if that interests you. And then we also have a community of over 20,000 Yinzers, and guys, it's a fantastic community in the comment section, talking Steelers, talking about situations, what's best for the Steelers moving forward. And then I try to make this show as interactive as possible for you, so you can have your voices heard on the show, just like today, where we have mailbag episodes where you get your questions on the show. So if that's something that interests you, you love the black and gold, you love the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you want to join our little family here at Steelers Talk, go ahead and click that subscribe button right now. All right, so we got the first question here, and this one comes from Dodo Jam Jams. Love that name, man. Do you think the Steelers should trade Alex Highsmith for a high draft pick or give him an extension? If extension, what do you think is a fair number? Now, this is an interesting question because Alex Highsmith, he's only the second outside linebacker, the second best outside linebacker on the team, and the Steelers defense is getting pretty pricey as it is. You look at the depth chart, you got TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, and that combination is one of the best in the National Football League, in my opinion. You look at the way that the Steelers were getting after quarterbacks this year with these two guys in the lineup. It was just absolutely ferocious, and they were getting the job done. They were forcing turnovers, they were forcing the issue for opposing quarterbacks, and it was really, really good. So bringing him back and locking him down long term, locking in this duo would be a good idea. And for me, as long as he's not asking to be paid like a top 5 edge rusher, right, somewhere in like the above $20 million range, which he might be. Like if he's looking to get $25 million, that's getting a bit pricey for me because you're paying Minka a lot of money, you're paying Hayward a lot of money, you're paying Watt a lot of money. But as long as it's in that like maybe top 10 range, $17.5 million per year range, I would probably take that. This is what I would offer him. A 2-year extension, $17 million per season. So you have next season, right? And then it kicks in 2 more years, $17 million per year. I think that'd be a good deal for the Steelers. I think that'd be a good deal for Alex. I think that would be mutually a really good deal for both parties involved. But let me know in the comment section right now. What do we do with Alex Highsmith? Do we extend him? Type E if you think that, or do you think that we trade him? Type T if you think trade, or type E for extend. This is the pinned comment on today's video, guys. So whenever you get an ad break here on the video, go ahead, go in the comment section, find that pinned comment. It's going to be right there at the top, and answer today's question. And the second question comes from Randy83, who asks, hearing that Brian Flores might be poached by another team soon, we should promote him and fire or demote Teryl Austin so we don't lose him. So this is, I'm not sure if I agree with this one, Randy. I think that Brian Flores, he's a great coach, right? He's shown that I think he should be a head coach in the National Football League, in my opinion. But I don't think Mike Tomlin or the Pittsburgh Steelers organization is the type of organization that would demote somebody that did a pretty darn good job, especially in the second half of the season, just to keep a good coach around. I just don't see that. I think, Flores is going to get a job somewhere else, whether as a defensive coordinator or a head coach this offseason. I think we wish him the best, but we keep Teryl Austin in place as the defensive coordinator because plain and simply, guys, when TJ Watt was in the game, his defense was bloody fantastic. And points per game allowed in those 10 games that TJ Watt played in, second in the league in points scored, 16.9. That would have been second in the league this year. Total yards per game allowed, 288.8. That would have been number 1 in the National Football League. Bloody fantastic when TJ Watt was in the game. Then takeaways, 18th. I mean, the Steelers defense in general for the entire season led the NFL in takeaways. So obviously that's fantastic. And then in sacks, they would have been second in terms of sacks per game, right? So I think that this defense is already fine. Teryl Austin is not the issue. There is no issue with the Steelers defense. I think the Steelers defense is great with Teryl Austin as the defensive coordinator and Mike Tomlin kind of overseeing the defensive scheme there. I don't think you need to really demote somebody or fire somebody because you want to keep a good defensive play caller, great defensive mind like Flores. I think the Steelers simply thank Flores for his service, and then he's on to the next one. And with the Steelers shutting down opposing defenses, you need to shut down your financial situation. You really need to lock that up. You can do that with our sponsor today here with Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill. Really like this app, guys. It really helps me with the monthly subscription problem. You can really start to accumulate a lot of monthly subscriptions if you're not careful, but this app really helps you with that. This app shows you all of your subscriptions in one place and then cancels for you whatever you don't still want. Rocket Money can even find subscriptions you didn't even know that you were paying for. You may even find out that you've been double charged for a subscription. To cancel a subscription, all you have to do is press cancel on the Rocket Money app, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest for you. Get rid of use of subscriptions with Rocket Money now. Go to rocketmoney.com/Steelers Talk to help out the channel a little bit, but also help your financial situation. It certainly helped me a lot since I've started using this app. I'm somebody that likes to spend, and I'm always signing up for these different programs and stuff. It's hard to keep track of it without this kind of app. So go ahead and go to rocketmoney.com/Steelers Talk to help out the channel, but also help out your financial situation. Next question here comes from Please Eat Me, another great name here. Why don't you have the Steelers signing Tremaine Edmunds in your offseason plan? The Steelers need inside linebacker help next season. And this is absolutely true, right? Inside linebacker is kind of a problem area for the Steelers next season. But Tremaine Edmunds, man, this is going to get a bit hairy because he's going to be very, very expensive. He's someone that's still young. He's extremely talented. He's going to take up a lot of money, and he's going to be upwards of probably $15 million per season next year. And I really think that he's a great player. I think that he would be a great fit for this scheme. I think if the Steelers can make it happen and they end up doing this, I'm not going to sit up here and complain. If we end up doing a breaking news video, Steelers signed Tremaine Edmunds, I'm not going to stand up here and say this was a terrible idea. This was a terrible signing. Right? He's a great player. But at the end of the day, guys, the linebacker market just got reset with Roquan Smith and the Ravens, who just signed a $100 million deal over 5 years. And Tremaine Edmunds, he's probably feeling like maybe he's not at that level, $20 million per year, but he's probably going to be asking for 16, 17, maybe $18 million per season. And plain and simply, guys, the Steelers don't have that kind of money to spend on a linebacker. Inside linebacker is one of the least important positions on a defense in the NFL. It's just the way it is. And you're already paying your free safety a ton of money. You're already paying your outside linebacker and TJ Watt a lot of money. Cam Hayward a lot of money, right? Deontay Johnson a lot of money. So adding another really big contract there in a position that's kind of lower on the importance to a team, to a defense, it just might be too expensive to go and get, like I said, a really good player in Edmonds, but it just might not make sense for the Steelers, unfortunately. Next question here comes from Barry Jackson, who asks, what are your thoughts on the Steelers potentially bringing back Juju Smith-Schuster this offseason? Now, this is interesting because I actually think that Juju is a really, really good fit for the Steelers, this personnel. I wouldn't mind bringing him back. Juju is exactly the type of wide receiver, that kind of big slot guy to add for this team. He's a great run blocker. I think that he's done a fantastic job in Kansas City. He might be a bit too expensive for the Steelers this year because I think he's going to be asking for upwards of $10 million, and he's probably going to get it, in my opinion. He's a big slot guy. He's got good hands. He's a relatively good route runner, really good run blocker, like really, really good. Big, strong, physical, tough, yards after the catch ability. He's a really good player, guys, and if the Steelers could nab him potentially, I'm not going to say no to that. But, is slot wide receiver really the biggest need for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now? I wouldn't say that as much. I would say probably try to get someone a bit cheaper. But if the Steelers signed Juju, I probably wouldn't complain. So let me know in the comments section right now. Should the Steelers bring back Juju Smith-Schuster next season? Type Y for yes or type N for no. And the final question here comes from Willie Screws, another great name. 3 great names today, guys. If J.J. Watt doesn't come out of retirement, what would be your plan for the defensive line in the offseason? re-sign Larry O and or Wormley, or would you still look for someone in free agency? So in my offseason plan, I did end up signing J.J. Watt, doing that kind of scenario where he comes out of retirement to play with his two brothers with the Steelers. And although, it would be awesome for the Steelers, it really would. It would be, I think he's still a really good player. I think that he could come in and really help the team. The more I'm starting to look at this situation, the more I'm starting to think that he's not coming back, with this whole, his last game and, everybody, applauding him as he comes off the field and he's crying and all this stuff. It's like, I'm just not sure if he can feel right about coming back after taking up that much emotional space in our minds here. So I just don't really know how that situation is going to work out. But I would probably re-sign Ogunjobi to answer your question. I would re-sign Larry O probably because you bring him back. He's a solid run stuffer. He's not going to blow you away. Only a 62 PFF grade, which is only 58. So it's a slightly above average defensive tackle in the National Football League. But what I really like about it is that Spotrac.com says that the Steelers could potentially get him for 2 years, $3.4 million per season. I think that's a good number for the Steelers. It's a cheap, reliable option that has played in the defense before, has chemistry with the other players. I think he could come in, be the starting 5 technique for the Steelers yet again next season. No problem whatsoever. Let's take a look at what the depth chart would look like for the Steelers if he ended up coming back. Of course, Cameron Hayward there in that 3 technique. Montravius Adams is the only nose tackle on the roster for 2023 at this point. And then you bring back Larry Ogunjobi to play that 5 technique. They would probably replace Adams as the nose tackle, maybe go get Siaki Ika in the draft or something like that. But Larry Ogunjobi, he's a solid player that they can get for a really nice contract, in my opinion. So if you can't get J.J. Watt, I would go get Larry Ogunjobi. All right, now pick one, guys. Should the Steelers re-sign Larry Ogunjobi? Type R for re-sign or type L for let walk. For me, I would re-sign him if you're not going to go get J.J. Watt, right? If you're not going to get somebody that's going to be better, I would just stick with Ogunjobi. Take the cheap contract for someone that is a reliable starter. Keep Larry Ogunjobi, in my opinion. I really like him because he's a good player. I think that he's a solid player. You bring him back for a 2-year contract, $3.4 million. Really solid player. I think that he'd be a good fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, guys, now go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Last kind of reminder here, we're going to have a bunch of awesome content throughout the season. If you want to get updates on every time the Steelers make a signing, every time they make a cut, every time they re-sign somebody, every time they restructure somebody, we're going to have all those updates breaking here on the channel. So make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications as well so you always get notified of when we put out new videos. All right, guys, here at Steelers Talk, we really appreciate you if you make it to the end of the video. You are a true Yinzer, a real Yinzer if you make it to the end of the videos here. So go ahead and type "Here we go" in all caps if you are a real one and made it to the end of the video. All right, guys, enjoy playoff football this weekend, guys. I really appreciate you, Steeler Nation. And until next time, peace.